Hey, what's up, everybody? The VC here, coming back at you with another video. It's about anything and everything. Lifestyle, entertainment. I mean, so much more. I just got a lot to offer here. And so, just sharing my opinion on things that are just simply common sense. So, with that, without further ado, let's just get to it. But before we do, just for this brief second here, subscribe to the VC. Whether it's here on YouTube or whether it's on Rumble, follow me on Rumble. All right. And, let me take you guys to another place that you've never been before. And that's just, you know, someone that is, expressing things in a different kind of way. So with that, let's go. All right. I'm so fascinated with this whole, astronaut situation up in space that they just came back courtesy of Elon Musk. And so we look at Elon Musk, right? His his dealerships and cars are being torched all over nationwide, as it says right there. And he's the world's richest man, right? He's kind of like the the Iron Man, right? Like inventor extraordinaire. Who knows? Maybe one day he can make the Iron Man suit. The way things are going, right? Tony Stark style. You know what I'm saying? But Elon Musk is a fascinating individual, right? I've grown to like him because I used to not like him, right? But I've grown to like him. He's grown to me. And again, I've stated before, and I'll state it again. I don't care about his cars. I don't care about the Teslas, but I won't torch them, right? But I do like the person that he is, as a person. And he's doing what he's doing because he legitimately cares, right? Such as working for Doge, right? Department of Government Efficiency, right? Trying to make the government more efficient, right? He got hired to do a task, and that's just to make the government efficient, right? And we look at the people behind the helm of all this, Trump and Elon, they're business people, right? And business people know how to manage money. They wouldn't have become rich without managing expenses and budget and all the whole money thing very well, right? They wouldn't have done it. So anyhow, I think it's unfair what Elon's going through right now with his dealerships getting torched and everything like that. Cars being burned and vandalized. And for what? Because he's doing a good deed? I mean, it's obvious that the extreme far left, progressive, liberals, right, that, they're supposedly for the people, they're supposedly nonviolent, but everything that they do when it comes to protesting always, always, always becomes violent, right? And it just sucks, you look at the BLM, the Antifas, all that stuff, right? It's all orchestrated by far left progressives. The list goes on and on. And it just sucks that he has to go through this, right? But man, is Elon a genius or what? Because he wouldn't have become the world's richest man inventing electric cars that, you know, wouldn't take us where we're at now when it comes to electric cars and him being the leader in that area, right? Again, I don't care for electric cars, but he has made something that has made a difference, right, in people's lives. Some people like having those electric cars around. He's gone into other things like he's, gotten into this whole, it's almost defunct space program, right? Because NASA it hasn't really truly had anything since its last shuttle mission when it was deactivated, right? Not NASA itself, but just the shuttles were deactivated, I think like in 2011. I think they flew their final flight. And nothing really come of it since, right? They keep talking about eventually doing space travel to Mars and back to the moon and all that, but it just really hasn't it's not even, you can just tell it's not really in the plans, of anything in the future. But Elon Musk has been ambitious, right? He's so ambitious that he continues to create things to eventually make space travel happen, right? And so he's created rockets that could fly up and fly back down and land, right? Rockets. So then comes this situation, all right, that has come in space, which is the astronauts. And, before we do, let me look at this here. Let me just look at this whole dealerships being torched stuff before we go to space.
The White House is vowing to crack down on the rising number of Tesla attacks at car dealerships across the country.
KTLA Samantha Cortese joins us live with more on the wave of vandalism in protest of Elon Musk and his role in Washington. Sam?
Hi, Sharon, Micah. The ATF and FBI are collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement to investigate acts of domestic terrorism surrounding Teslas.
It is domestic terrorism.
Teslas are being torched across the country. Dealerships shot up and set on fire. Spray paint to vandalize and make a statement.
Look at them.
People in Southern California are getting notes on their Teslas, calling them complicit Nazis for owning electric cars.
Let's figure out other ways of, dealing with it.
People are protesting Elon Musk's role within President Trump's White House, leading the Department of Government Efficiency's cuts to federal spending.
We think it's despicable what is happening to not just this American company, but also their innocent employees. And again, innocent Americans who drive these vehicles. We condemn it wholeheartedly.
Website DogeQuest is doxing alleged Tesla owners all over Los Angeles, Orange, and San Bernardino counties. Creators claim they will delete people's information once they prove they've sold their Tesla. Attorney General Pam Bondi called Tesla vandalism domestic terrorism. Retired FBI agent Ken Gray agrees.
Individuals who are owning Teslas through this DogeQuest may find their property being destroyed or at least damaged by people that for political purposes.
I got a brother-in-law
so this
that owns
really
a Tesla.
is domestic terrorism.
Former vice presidential candidate and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is taking some heat over this reaction to the American car company's stock dropping.
They've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping.
Tesla stock closed at $235 today, perhaps a boost from the California Public Utilities Commission, which granted the company a permit to transport passengers, the first step toward a rideshare service. Tesla says it will initially use the permit to transport Tesla employees. As far as arrests go, police in San Jose arrested one man for seeing a Tesla in a Costco parking lot. That suspect is being charged with felony vandalism. In the newsroom, Samantha Cortese, Sharon Micah, and Vera, over to you.
All right, Sam, thank you.
Tampon Tim. Yeah, keep pushing for tampons in boys' bathrooms, all right? We all know what they're for, right? It's for, gay boys and anybody that wants to put a tampon up their ass. I mean, think about it, right? I mean, there's no reason at all whatsoever to have tampons in boys' bathrooms, even if you're transgender. All right, which there's not a lot of transgender women transitioning to men. There's far more men that's trying to transition to women, right? So if we go along with this narrative of men transitioning to women, if you believe in the transgender causes, again, tampons are not made for male genitalia. So what are they going to do? Stick it up their ass? I mean, that's just what it is, right? It's like a dildo up the ass. All right? So, don't bust me with some bullshit, all right? So I just wanted to take a look at this whole torch Tesla situation here. All right? And let's see here. Elon Musk ruthlessly shuts down Tim Walz after mocking Tesla's stock slump. I know we're getting a little sidetracked here, but man, I mean, screw Tim Walz, man. You're a failure as a running mate for Kamala. You could be Kamala's bitch. All right, how about that, Tim? All right, so All right, so I covered this yesterday about no astronauts left behind. The SpaceX rescue mission was a unifying moment for the country, right? That's what was covered yesterday. Let me see here. Yeah, let me touch on that.
Located in the Gulf of America, off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida.
This is when they
and splashdown. Crew 9 back
Earth
on
and
Earth.
landed back on Earth.
After they hit the Gulf, SpaceX rescue crews motorboated the pod into the mothership, where they popped open the hatch and pulled them out.
SpaceX's go for recovery personnel to approach.
We can see folks on board clapping as our first crew member.
And
This
that
is
is NASA
SpaceX,
astronaut
all right?
Nick Hague, commander of Crew 9.
Not even the NASA program
now out of Crew Dragon Freedom.
that performed the rescue flight back from space to U.S. or space back to Earth, and then SpaceX yet conducting the rescue to pick up the astronauts. They touched down into the sea. You saw there. And not even really
Smile,
NASA.
thumbs up, and a wave. Can't get any better than that.
When he was first elected, Donald Trump promised to save the forgotten men and women of America, no matter where they were, in the Rust Belt or on the space station. Elon Musk offered to bring these astronauts home months ago, but Joe Biden was too insecure to let Elon, and by extension Trump, be a hero during the election, so Joe let him float.
You're going to help rescue next month 2 astronauts that I think were abandoned. They dispute that in an interview.
At the president's request or instruction, we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
They've been there. They were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Pretty jacked up to do that.
They were yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
This is a unifying moment for the country. Everyone's sitting around the TV watching our people splash down.
Yeah, I mean, that's just wrong.
But some people aren't grateful. They
playing
won't give
around with
Elon any
people's
credit.
lives.
And they won't even call it the Gulf of America. And they're still covering up for the big guy.
Let me say something. I was watching the previous, your previous program, The Five, and they're talking about abandoned and they were stranded by President Biden. That is not true. They have had a spacecraft up there since September that was going to bring them home. They've always had a ride home.
All right, so if that was the case, they've always had a ride home, they had a spacecraft with them, how come they couldn't just leave, right? There's a reason why they couldn't leave. I mean, duh, that's why they, Elon sent, SpaceX rockets, to go up there. So no, full of shit.
And the decision to keep them up there had nothing to do with politics. It was just the fact that you need crew members to operate the space station. And they were the 2 that were there, and you had to send up a vehicle with 2 empty seats. So the safest thing to do was to just leave them there.
They've always had a ride home. That was Democrat Senator Mark Kelly's brother, by the way. If they always had a ride home, why did it take so long? When I land at the airport, I don't wait around. I get home as fast as I can.
I'm not going to wait around. If I always had a ride home, I'm not going to wait around 8 months and just say, okay, I'm going home now. No, if I'm going to go home, I'm going home now, especially from space. No, I'm not going to be hanging out up there for what? Just for fun? I mean, no. I'm not getting nothing from hanging out in space. I'm coming home.
Ken, why would I wait for a train that's coming in an hour if I can get an Uber like that? And why are Democrats defending Biden?
And it's funny because it's the same thing. Like the whole train analogy you just used. I had a choice of driving a car or taking a train. I'm not going to take a train for an hour and a half just to get to college back in the days when I went to college. When I could have just drive to college, I probably got to leave earlier. Instead of leaving maybe at a certain time, I left an hour early. But an hour early, I could get to the same college in around 35 minutes and get a good car and get a good parking spot, rather than take a train for an hour to roughly hour and a half on a crowded train, whereas I got to college early, sat in the parking lot, listened to the radio, nap in the car, all in my own space, all right? So yeah, no, I'm not going to do that shit. Sorry. No, you can't just leave me in space like that.
Biden stranding our people in space. For a guy who's always had a ride home, this astronaut sounds pretty grateful. Listen.
We're coming back before long, so, don't make all those plans without me.
I can tell you at the outset, all of us have the utmost respect for Mr. Musk and obviously respect and admiration for our President of the United States, Donald Trump. We appreciate them. We appreciate all that they do for us, for human spaceflight, for our nation.
Biden let our country get invaded. He allowed men and women's locker rooms, let down kids during COVID, took forever to open up the economy. There was never any urgency. Inflation, it'll go away. There was no fight in this man. He let American hostages wither all over the world. The minute Trump's elected, they're back. This Ukraine war would have gone on forever. Biden never even picked up the phone and called Putin once. Trump spent 2 hours on the phone with Vlad today, and they hashed out a semi-ceasefire. Biden let America die and fell asleep on the beach because he didn't care. You're not going to get all you want all at once, I know, but Biden never even tried. Bringing back astronauts is like what makes us proud. When have you known America to just give up? The Army's credo is no man left behind. And that credo is founded on hard work and ingenuity. And we're applying those principles to saving our country from bankruptcy. Look what Doge uncovered.
I call it magic money computer, any computer which can just make money out of thin air. That's magic money.
So how does that work?
It just issues payments.
And you said something like 11 of these computers at Treasury that are sending out trillions in payments?
They're mostly at Treasury. Some are, but there's some at HHS, some at, there's one or two at State. There's some at,
I don't know. Every time I see guys that cross their legs real tight, I don't know how they could do it. I couldn't even do that. Like, look how tight these guys' legs are. I can't do it.
at DOD. I think we found now 14 magic money computers.
14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
Democrats are begging him to use a scalpel while there's magic money machines pumping out billions of dollars. Doge is cleaning up Social Security payrolls. 3 million people over the age of 120 were finally officially declared dead. The VA just Doge taxpayer-funded gender-affirming prosthetics. Not only were they having orgies at the VA, on the clock, at the hospital, they went home with goodie bags. And the Democrats are furious because Musk caught them stealing.
One of the biggest scam fraud holes we've uncovered, which is really crazy, is that the government can give money to a so-called nonprofit with very few controls.
Yeah, those are
and then
rip-offs.
and there's no auditing subsequently of that nonprofit. They then give themselves.
Yeah, because the nonprofit could just claim that, we need this amount of money, and they'll just send it. And it's like, there's no accounting for it. I mean, what do they really do with all that money? All these different nonprofits, especially the ones that helped illegals come across the border to situate themselves in the U.S., right? Like, what do they do with all that money?
Extremely lavish, like insane salaries, expense everything to the nonprofit. Buy jets and homes and all sorts of things.
Live like kings and queens.
Yes.
On the taxpayer dime.
Correct.
You mentioned...
Man, that was a secret that I would have, should have got in on before Biden left office. Get in on this secret, man. Should have been an NGO and just have all these receipts to claim things and get paid in the tunes of millions of dollars and been a millionaire and live a lavish lifestyle. It would have been nice.
It's happening at scale. It's not just one or two. We're seeing this everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's so bad that bureaucrats are locking themselves in their office like they're Bruce Willis in Die Hard. One Fed bunkered himself under his desk and called Wolf Blitzer like it was breaking news, saying, Doge has broken into our building. If you think CNN can save you, CNN can't even save themselves. Washington ripped you off and stabbed you in the back. And Schumer says you're the one with an attitude.
They are controlled by a small group of wealthy, greedy people. And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or, I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds about right. I mean, people work hard for their money for you guys, the Democrats, to take it all
my
away.
Employees. They hate government. Government's a barrier to people, a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Do you hear how stupid he sounds? You know what I'm saying? You hear how stupid he sounds? Ridiculous.
Schumer's saying you're greedy, and his party just got caught fleecing you to buy strap-ons. We don't want to destroy government. No one's even saying that. We're just saying the same things Democrats, including Schumer, have been saying for decades.
Take a step back.
There's tremendous waste in government, and I think any Democrat who ignores the lessons, the lessons of those who voted, the lessons of the last election, makes a mistake. The people did want
He still wears
government
those stupid
to
glasses.
cut out the waste and to shrink.
Chuck's trotting out that old Obama line, you didn't build that. That when Americans work hard and are successful, they owe a lot of that to the government. Anyone who owns a business knows the government gets in the way of business. And if
All right, enough of that.
the government got out of the way just even a little bit, business would be booming. And Elon's business used to be booming, but now the media is calling on Americans to dump his stock and are looking the other way while Trantifa torches Teslas.
But you'll see a Tesla vehicle catch fire.
We caught all this
momentarily.
yesterday.
You'll see.
All right, so we saw that yesterday. Now, my question is, why were the astronauts left behind? That's what I want to know. So let's see, like what happened, you know? I want to know the story, like what led to this. So that's what I want to see here. Let's see here. This is a good one here. How did a pair of astronauts get stranded in space for 9 months? I want to know. All right. Let's see here. I want to know. So courtesy of CNA here. Let's go check this out. I'm curious. I really don't know the whole story, and I want to know.
A hero's welcome for two NASA astronauts who have finally returned home after spending 9 months stranded in space.
And splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth.
Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, along with two other Crew 9 members, splashed down off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida, just before 6 a.m. Singapore, Hong Kong time. The journey back to Earth took 17 hours from the time the SpaceX Dragon Freedom spacecraft undocked from the International Space Station. This was the moment when Miss Williams exited the capsule, followed shortly by Mr. Wilmore. It's the first breath of fresh air for the pair since they departed for the ISS last year. So just how did they end up getting stuck in space?
Yeah, I want to know how many they get stuck.
But Wilmore and Williams blasted off into Boeing's...
Yeah, so look at that. It's supposed to be an 8-day mission to the International Space Station and became 9 months of being stuck in space, all right? That's just jacked
Starliner
up.
last June, heading to the International Space Station. They were supposed to be back in just over a week, but things didn't go as planned. During their 24-hour journey to the ISS, 5 of the spacecraft's 28 thrusters malfunctioned.
Wow.
A propellant valve also failed, and multiple helium leaks were reported. NASA eventually deemed the vehicle unsafe for crew, and the capsule returned to Earth in September last year without the 2 astronauts.
Okay.
Now, the current plan to bring the stranded space flyers home was then set into motion.
All right.
A SpaceX mission called Crew 9 was launched that same month. It brought 2 astronauts to the ISS on board a Dragon spacecraft with 2 empty seats for Wilmore and Williams.
Okay.
But the long-awaited Crew 10 mission to swap out the astronauts was delayed in its final hour last week due to a hydraulic issue. It blasted off 2 days later, paving the way for Wilmore and Williams to return home. So what were the astronauts up to during their extended stay? Between them, they spent more than 900 hours working on more than 150 scientific experiments. Suni Williams also broke the record for the most spacewalk time by a woman, a staggering 62 hours and 6 minutes across all her missions. The NASA assures that despite the delay, their time in space posed no major risks, with the ISS resupplied with all the essentials like food, water, and oxygen. But NASA also flags potential risks to personal health of astronauts due to extended stay in space, from vision changes to bone density loss. And it says the radiation in space could potentially increase the risk of cancer and other degenerative disorders, though research into this is still ongoing. So with all these risks, why do we keep sending astronauts into space? Now, the answer lies in the unique environment of space. Microgravity offers scientists the chance to conduct groundbreaking research from how molecules react in space and how the human body adapts to spaceflight. An observation from orbit also provides a key source of data to track climate change and inform natural disaster responses. Joining us now is Quentin Parker, professor at Laboratory for Space Research at University of Hong Kong. Professor, an incredible story we're following today. Just how unusual is it for astronauts to be stranded in space for such an extended period of time? And how remarkable is it that they were able to return to Earth the way they did?
Well, it's not unheard of. It is very rare. There was, I think it was NASA astronaut Frank Rubio ended up spending an extra 6 months on board the International Space Station back in 2022. And he was meant to be up there for 6 months. He had to extend it to about a year. And that was, again, because there was a coolant leak in the system that was bringing him home. So it made the normal return mission impossible. But he eventually did return on a Soyuz, I think, M23 rocket capsule in September 2023. So that was another precedent. So it's not the only time that astronauts have been stranded in space, but it is very rare.
So what's your assessment on how well NASA and SpaceX handled the unexpected challenges related to the astronauts' extended stay on the ISS? Were they flexible and rapid enough?
I wonder if dude banged a chick in space.
Well, it depends who you listen to. Elon Musk has been commenting on this and saying that he could have brought them home sooner. But nevertheless, if you listen to NASA, everything's gone according to plan, and they've come back on a wonderful Dragon capsule. As you see, it looks very. When you look inside the capsule, you saw the astronauts coming out. They look like they're inside a sort of a Zen spacecraft. They look like they're wearing Formula One spacesuits, etc. It's very clean and very, very modern and swish. But yes, that came back flawlessly, and so that was great. It's only because the Starliner Boeing capsule didn't function completely as intended. Now, don't forget, it did come back to Earth safely in the end. It was just they were just risk averse and deciding not to risk, because it wasn't risk free if they went back when they could have done with that spacecraft. So it is an issue for NASA that at the moment is only the Dragon X, which is shown to be reliable, and the mechanism, the vehicle with which astronauts are taken to and from the International Space Station from the American side.
Professor, thankfully,
we got nothing else. We got no other alternatives because there's no space shuttles anymore. They got retired, so all you got is the SpaceX Dragon Balls or whatever you call it. All right, so that's all you got. There's no space shuttles.
Obvious hiccups that we could see from our vantage. Can you talk to us about the science behind splashdown? How textbook was today's return?
It looked completely textbook. America, NASA have been doing splashdowns for decades, and it went. You saw the parachutes deploy. You saw it wasn't a crash landing in any sense into the water, and so that's the way the Americans have been doing it for decades.
Did you bang the chick?
The Russians and
all right, whatever, man. This guy's not explaining nothing. All right. I want to know what's going on. Let's listen to this.
Let's bring in journalist and filmmaker Army Horowitz.
What's going on around here?
This was an incredible mission to have these two astronauts, Barry Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, return home safely. It's a triumph for SpaceX. It's a triumph for the Trump administration and for America.
Yeah, no question. And can someone get that woman a hair tie, please? I've been seeing her for a year with her hair up like that. Like, I can't stop thinking about that Lawrence O'Donnell clip. Oh my God. We need more cowbells. Oh, that's all I can think about. Look, SpaceX, right, versus NASA. I mean, the numbers are so stark, it's unbelievable. SpaceX is 10 times faster and twice as cheap as NASA. SpaceX has 1% overruns on their projects. NASA has 90%, okay? And they keep banging on Elon Musk. This is the man who created 3 industries, not 3 companies, 3 industries, and not like 3 like cottage industries. Electronic payments, electric cars, private space industry. This is the guy we're talking. He might be the most accomplished man in human history, yet they don't want him running a department in the government. This is what the problem is with Democrats, Rita.
It is, and just
Yeah, see, like I was saying, NASA's got nothing right now. And like SpaceX is like really taking over, which is sad because NASA's just so bloated in terms of budget and got nothing to show for right now. Like literally nothing.
It occurred to me this entire mission just tells you so much about Biden's America compared to Trump's America. All that cost and expenditure with NASA, sending these 2 astronauts for a week, having them stranded for close to 10 months, Biden administration refusing Elon Musk's help to bring them back earlier because they thought it would be a boost for Elon Musk and Trump if it happened during the election campaign. So it just speaks of the big bureaucracy, waste, inefficiency, incompetence. And you would think Elon Musk, with this achievement and the others you noted, would be a hero, but among the left, he is as hated as Donald Trump these days. They're attacking Tesla dealerships, they're vandalizing random Teslas. Trump is calling these attacks a form of domestic terrorism.
In a non-comic
Do you consider
way.
this an act of domestic terrorism?
I think so.
Why?
I think that if and when they catch the people, and I hope they do, the good thing is they have a lot of cameras in those places, and they've caught some already having to do with that. I think that you will find out that they're paid by people that are very highly political on the left.
Army, the New York Post reports anti-Tesla protests. Some of them are being fueled by a Democratic mega donor whose ex-husband is one of Elon Musk's closest pals.
Wow,
so
that's
that
crazy.
sounds a little bit personal, but I'm not suggesting she's behind any of these fire bombings or acts of vandalism, but the destruction and the activism that's turned into violence here is quite disturbing and almost reminiscent of what we saw during that summer of love with the BLM riots.
Yeah, it is disturbing, and we're going to see a lot more of it, unfortunately. Look,
I'm glad I
the
don't own any
Democrats,
Tesla.
they're such two-faced hypocrites. It really makes me sick, right? Hate Elon Musk, but they love their billionaires. They love their Jeff Bezos and George Soros and J.B. Pritzker and Tom Steyers, and I can go on and on. Their list of billionaires is long. Might be longer than the Republicans' list.
It is.
Yeah, and they're going after Elon Musk. Look, the president used that term domestic terrorism very specifically, right? Because while there's no actual federal crime for domestic terrorism, 33 out of the 50 states, in fact, do have it listed as a certain crime. And what you're going to find is you're going to get a hefty sentence if you're convicted under that for the same, essentially the same offense. You're burning a car, just on the street normally, you might get a few months in prison. Burn a car because you're trying to make a political statement and scare people and create terror in your community, you might get 10 years to life.
Good.
So they're using that very specifically, and I'm all for it.
I'm all
and I
for
think
it, too.
the BLM riots, those are all, and frankly, even on the right, I want to see all. If you're committing acts of terror, I don't care if you're from a jihadist in the Middle East or you're in the United States, you will pay the price, and I expect that to happen.
And those are all left progressives that are doing that, right? Like, what far right really does anything, right? When you really think about it, what do they really do? They don't really do nothing, right? The ones that are always protesting are the left. They cry about everything. And so I hope they do get caught. But anyhow, like I said, I give mad respect to Elon for what he has done, what he has accomplished, and all that. And like I said, like I used to not like him, but as a person, I've grown to like him, and I give him total respect for what he is doing and what he has accomplished, because he wouldn't be where he's at without the hard work, dedication, and all that. And now he's trying to make our lives even better for all of us. Right? So, hey, I'm all for it. So anyhow, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I guess it was just more of a political thing, right? There's really no other reasoning to it. Yeah, there was mechanical and, those sort of issues with the space, I guess you could say, vehicles itself. But in the end, when there was the capability of bringing it home earlier, as what Elon and Trump has stated, they could have been brought home way earlier. And it could have been to Biden's credit for bringing on Musk without this whole party line bullshit. We got human lives that are trying to come back home. And what's wrong? What's so bad about just bringing people home? It's pretty some fucked up shit. And Democrats continue to do all that all the time. When's enough, people? Anyhow, I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's everything I wanted to talk about. I was just curious about this whole astronaut situation. There's really, it's more or less just, like I said, space vehicle situational problems and how to get back. But at the end, it was politically driven for them to be back when they could have been back sooner. They came back later. But at least everything turned out to be okay. So with that, subscribe to YouTube or follow me on Rumble. All right, as you find daily content. Let me know what you think. Thanks, and I'll see you next one.